A very good morning, class 12. This is the second chapter of your Flamingo book, that is Lost Spring, which comprises of two stories of stolen childhood. It is written by Anis Jam. She studied in India and then USA. She began her career as a writer in India. She has been an editor and a columnist for major newspapers in India and has authored several books. Her most noted work, Unveiling India 1987, was a detailed chronicle of the lives of women in India. Her book, Lost Spring Stories of Stolen Childhood, was written in 2005, which focuses on children from deprived backgrounds. Deprived backgrounds means जो बहुत ज़्यादा प्रॉब्लम से ग्रस्त हैं बच्चे, उनके बारे में ये डिस्कस करने वाली है. उसी में से हमने दो चैप्टर्स लिए हैं. ओके मतलब उसी में से हमें दो चैप्टर्स दिए गए हैं बुक में से लॉस्ट स्प्रिंग में which we are going to study. This is the chapter sketch which I have written over there. You can see these excerpts are taken from the author's book Lost Spring Stories of Stolen Childhood. This chapter is divided into two parts, continuing the author's first-hand experience with poverty and traditions prevailing in some parts of India. The first part describes the plight of the poor ragpickers of Simapuri. The second part describes the miserable condition of the bangle makers of Firozabad. So, we are going to study about two stories, one from Simapuri, second from Firozabad. One is about the ragpickers, second is about the bangle makers. See, keep that in mind, this is very important. We will first begin with the first story. So, the first part is sometimes I find a rupee in the garbage. These are the words of Sahib, and that is why it is taken as title of the story. Here we are going to discuss about Sahib, who is a rag picker. Sahib, see, I have written the characters. In this story, we are going to study about two characters. One is Sahib and second is the narrator. That is Anis Chand, the writer of the story. Sahib is a rag picker from Simapuri, from Delhi. He has simple dreams. He believes in promises made to him. Narrator is somebody who is a social worker who empathizes with the slum dwellers. Dwellers means those who live in slum, and honestly portrays their pitiable lives. Pitiable lives, the lives which are not at all happily lived. They are not at all joyous. They are just living for surviving. There is nothing like excitement. Okay, so here we are going to discuss about these two. The chapter starts with a morning where the author meets Sahib and his friends are scrounging for gold in the garbage. Searching for gold in the garbage dumps of a neighborhood. Of a neighborhood? Her means here, her refers to the author's neighborhood. So here are 6 pointers of this story. Okay, I have briefed this chapter in just 6 pointers, which I'm going to discuss now. Sahib the rat picker and the promise. What was the promise? How has he become the rat picker? Who is Sahib? We are going to discuss everything here. Every morning, the author meets Sahib and his friends scrounging for gold in the garbage dumps that I already told you. Sahib and his family belong to Bangladesh. They came from Bangladesh. They have left their home a long time ago. Storm washed away their fields and homes, reducing them to a state of abject poverty, which they left behind in the hope of finding a better life. That is why they came to this city looking for gold. The, and the promise, when the thing comes about promise, what is this promise? The author asks Sahib why he does rag picking and does not go to school. To this, Sahib replied that there is no school in his neighborhood. The author jokingly promises to open a school. After a few days, Sahib asks him if the author has opened the school. The author is very embarrassed at having made a promise that was not meant to be fulfilled. Nevertheless, she realizes that such promises are made to these children almost every day, which means these children are always fooled. These children are given promises which nobody could fulfill, and even a small dream of theirs is a very big dream for them. Second pointer is Sahib-e-Alam, Lord of the Universe. See, this is an irony where the snail, When the author asked him about his full name, "What's your full name, Sahib?" he replied, "Sahib-e-Alam," in reality, which means Lord of the Universe. And here, Sahib, what is Sahib doing? Sahib is rat picking. She feels that Sahib would not believe what his name means. Unaware of the meaning of his name, he roams with his gang barefoot on the streets. The author curiously asks why they don't wear slippers. One of the rat pickers replies that his mother does not bring them down from the shelf. Another says he wants shoes, he doesn't want to wear slippers. And moving across the country, the author has seen many children walking barefoot. One of the explanations is that it is a tradition and not a lack of money. Anish Chung wonders if this is just an excuse to explain away a perpetual state of poverty. And actually, it is. We will discuss this point at the last. Next point is author hurt by the fact that rat pickers are still barefoot. Where author remembers about a man from Udupi. Udupi is a place who, as a young boy, would pass a temple where his father was a priest and pray for a pair of shoes. 30 years later, the author visited his town. Behind the temple, there was the house of a new priest. Anis noticed the young boy of the priest who arrived panting. He was wearing shoes now. The writer was reminded of the boy who prayed that he should never lose his shoes. The goddess had granted his prayer. As most of the young boys there now have shoes to wear, as against this, the rat pickers in the author's neighborhood still remain barefoot. Now the fourth point, that is garbage is cold. Why garbage is cold? We have already discussed in the beginning. The author's acquaintance with the barefoot rat pickers takes her to Simapuri. Simapuri is a place in the on the periphery of Delhi, yet miles away from it metaphorically. The place is home to 10,000 other shoeless rat pickers like Sahib. They are all Bangladeshi refugees who came here back in 1971. They live in very poor conditions in mud structures with roofs of tin and tarpaulin. Tarpaulin is a type of cloth. The place has no running water facility and no drainage. The rat pickers have lived here for the past 30 years, some even more, without any identity, which causes them a problem of a valid ration card because they don't have any identity. But it doesn't bother them if at the end of the day they don't sleep with empty stomachs. They prefer to live here rather than in the fields at home, which give them no gain. They who once lived in the beautiful land of green fields and rivers in Bangladesh are now compelled to pitch their tents wherever they find food. They are only surviving, as I said. Children are born in them and become partners in survival. And survival in Simapuri means rat picking. Over the years, rat picking has become an art. Garbage is cold to these rat pickers. It is their only sport and means of income. Sahib tells the author that sometimes he finds a rupee, even a 10 rupee note. Anis realizes that garbage holds a different meaning to both parents and children. For parents, it is a source of livelihood, providing them with food and shelter. For children, it is wrapped in wonder because they just believe that someday they will get gold in it, someday they will get a 1 rupee note or maybe a 10 rupee note. So they are just unwrapping their wonder in that garbage. The second last point is lost spring. What happens? One winter morning, the author sees Sahib outside the fenced gate of the neighborhood club. He was watching a tennis game. Sahib seems to be fascinated by the game. He tells the author that sometimes the guard lets him in and then he can ride the swing, only when there is nobody around. The author notices that Sahib is wearing tennis shoes. Sahib tells her that someone gave him those shoes. The fact that some rich boy discarded the shoes because there was a hole in one of them does not bother him because he just wanted shoes, even with a hole. For Sahib, who has walked his whole life barefoot, it is like a dream come true. Now the last point is Sahib no longer his own master. One morning, what happens? The author sees that Sahib is on his way to the milk booth and he was carrying a steel canister. He informs the author that now he works at a tea stall and is paid rupees 100 on all his meals. But the author feels that Sahib is not happy. His face has lost its carefree look. His face has lost its joy. The steel canister seems heavier than the plastic bag. The bag was his, but the canister belongs to the owner of the tea stall. Sahib was no longer his own master. And I leave this question for you. Why isn't Sahib happy? Even after earning 800 rupees, where he was happy for just 10 rupee note. So, what is the reason behind it? I would suggest you guys to answer me ASAP. So, this was the first part of the chapter, and we will discuss the second part later on. Bye bye, and all the best. Have a good day. Enjoy yourself.